We know that on day 3 and 4 that we are introduced to 3 new words that we're going to focus and study. The first word that we want to take a look at is the word humdrum. This word refers to something that is boring or dull. So humdrum, boring, and dull are all synonyms. Many students sometimes say that uniforms look humdrum or boring or dull. Sometimes we use that word humdrum when we're describing like our daily routines. Maybe they're uninteresting things that we do day in and day out. For example, making your bed, walking the dog, doing the dishes. Some people say that these are just humdrum activities. What is something you do at home that you would consider to be humdrum? And why is it humdrum? If you have someone next to you, you can turn and talk or think to yourself. Yes, all of us do have humdrum days or days that are kind of boring or dull on which nothing interesting happens. Well, let's take a look at the next word that we're going to focus on. That word is formal. Now I know that in grammar we've actually heard this word before when we referred to formal and informal language, but there's a couple different meanings for formal. When we talk about clothing that's formal, these are clothes that are appropriate for business or officials or a special occasion, maybe even like a wedding, a graduation, or even like a funeral. Here are some examples of formal clothing. Some people think that a school uniform is like a suit or other formal clothing. They believe that if students dress more formally in uniforms, that they might be more serious and ready to do work at school. Formal can also refer to the describing polite or respectful language and behavior that's appropriate for business or officials or special occasions. So I want you to make a choice. I'm going to describe 2 ways of speaking, dressing, or behaving, and I want you to decide which way is formal and why. So let's look at the first example. Which of these would be a formal way to greet a man that you've just met for the first time? Would you say, "Hello, sir, how are you today?" Or would you say, "Hey dude, what's up?" Why? Which one do you think is more formal? Let's look at another example. What might a woman wear to a formal party? Is she going to wear jeans and a sweatshirt or a fancy gown and shoes? Why do you think that? And let's look at the last example. Which would be a formal way to behave if you were meeting the president? Are you going to stand straight and tall, waiting patiently? Or are you going to shove your hands in your pocket and shift impatiently from foot to foot? So now that we know the word formal, and we can use what we know about this prefix "n", right? We know that "n" is a prefix that means not. Can you guess what the word informal means? Right, not formal. So these 2 words are opposites. Informal clothing, language, and behavior is appropriate for more relaxed or what we might call casual occasions or just everyday activities. So now I'm going to ask you formal or informal. I will describe something and then you will decide whether it is formal or informal and explain why. The first example, bowing to a king. Is bowing to a king formal or informal behavior? Let's look at the next example. A backyard barbecue with friends. Is that going to be formal or an informal occasion, and why? And the last example, shorts and a t-shirt. Are these formal or informal clothing options, and why? Excellent. So that wraps up day 3. I'll see you back tomorrow for day 4.